everybody, my name is Niclas Huschenbeth and welcome to my subscriber special, and this is actually the first time ever I'm doing a live stream, and I will start in just a few seconds playing against users on Chess24, playing Blitz games, and at the same time commenting on my moves. So I will just go there in a few seconds. So just hold on, just have to do one quick thing and then we're ready to go. Alright, so now let's switch to Chess24. Here we are on the main website, and you can see I already have 9 challenges. So let me accept a challenge. Now let's accept the challenge of Melanie Ohme fan 98. In case you don't know, Melanie Ohme is a German chess player, and obviously this guy is a fan of her. So let me just check if this is going well. I have to switch one more time. And now we have the board view, and now we're ready to go. And I start with e4, he ends with d4, he plays the French. He plays pretty fast, but of course this is necessary in a 3-minute game. He plays knight f6. Sometimes, he takes back with the pawn. Usually black takes back with the queen, because now he has slightly weakened his pawn structure. Okay, castle. Because where is he going to put his king? That's really the question I'm asking myself right now, because if he castles, his king is always going to be weak. He plays knight c6. Probably I should defend this pawn. Can I push with d5, or is that asking for too much? I think I'll just play bishop back to c2, hinting at playing d5 at some point. Definitely this is an option. So he certainly has to watch out for that. He plays knight b4. I don't want to give my bishop up, so I guess I have to move it again. Where do I go? Let's go to b3, and my plan is still to play with a3 and d5. I could also play d5 right now, possibly threatening to win the knight on b4, and I think I'm going to try this really easy trick. But I don't know how he's going to deal with it. His big problem is really the king in the center. Because what is he going to do? He plays a5 to give his knight a square, and now I have some really good options here. I can play check, and he plays this move. Now I can take on e6. If he takes back, I play knight e5, and he is lost because the queen is coming to h5, and he takes back, and now I'm threat to take on d7, and I threat queen h5, and okay, he didn't see the threat, but now I will mate him on f7. Alright, so clearly the mistake here was pretty much early in the game. I wouldn't take back with the pawn at this point. Just take with the queen, and you don't weaken your pawn structure, and it's a normal game. And then it's not so easy to play. Maybe bishop should go to g7 to protect the king, but still white is slightly better. Let's accept the next challenge. Alright, I'll just go here, the right on the top, play against Armin K16, and he can start his first move. So please let me know in the chat if there are any issues with the sound of the video. I would just like to have some feedback. If everything is going fine, that would be great, because right now obviously I cannot watch my own live stream. That would be pretty terrible and would lead to an endless loop. So it would be great if you guys could just let me know real quick. So seemingly Armin K is not there at the moment, and I'm sorry to do that, but I have to abort the game. No, he's there. Alright, I was just about to press the button. He is here, and he plays d4, and I go for Nimmt zu Indien. there we go. Knight f3, and here I like to play my bishop to b7. He plays a3. Nimsa, if you play the Nimsa, and then you like to take on c3 anyway, especially if white provokes you by playing a3. Alright, so what's going on here? I play bishop to b7, and oftentimes it is an idea to just play g5 followed by knight e4, because this is really a standard maneuver to, of course you're weakening your own king a little bit, but the knight on e4 is so strong, and he is offering me to take on c3, but I don't want to do this because queen c2 is coming, so I'll just play d6. Now he castles. Still I could take, but queen c2 would just trap my knight, so I can't do that. So knight d7. He takes on e4. This is unexpected, and he plays knight d2. I could play bishop to d3. I could keep the bishop on a long diagonal. He wants to follow up with e4 somehow. So let's make it a little bit more difficult for him. Play bishop to d3 and continue with f5 and not allow him to play e4, because now e4 would run into f4. And he can also not move his knight because the pawn on c4 is hanging. So it's really a question of what is he going to do. By the way, I'm threatening f4 actually, probably already, because the bishop would be hanging, and then he plays f4 himself. Definitely not a move he wanted to play, but probably he didn't see another option. But now obviously his white squares are weakened even more, and I play knight f6 and will either play my bishop at some point to e4 or my knight. My king is a little bit open, but right now he has no way to exploit it, and I think I'm doing more than fine at this point. So he plays the queen here. Is he threatening anything? I don't think so. I just improved the position of my king because I want to play bishop e4, but if I had played at the moment, I couldn't have taken back with the knight maybe. Well, maybe I could have. He plays e4 himself. What's going on here? I think I can just take this pawn off, and I don't see a reason why this is not working. He sacrificed the exchange, but I doubt he's having any sufficient compensation here, and I should be clearly better at this point. Alright, plays rook f1. The rook is pinned at the moment. He cannot do anything. He cannot. He does take. Alright, this is allowing me to mate him pretty quickly. I was just saying he cannot take on g5, but then he does it anyway. Well, the position is objectively lost at this point regardless, but of course he could have fought on, let's say h3 or something like that. So where was the mistake? I would not recommend a3 here at this point. Probably just bishop g5 is the main line. a3 is only helping black. And then I didn't like bishop takes e4. For example, you could play something like queen c2 here, f5. This bishop is always, of course, a little bit in trouble, but maybe knight d2, and it should be alright. It shouldn't be too bad for white. Alright, let's go to the next game. Pascal. Alright, I just have to play against him because I know who that is. He's a chess player from Hamburg, and he is working for Chess24. So, and if you ever had a look on my website, he has actually designed it. He has created this website, so of course I like to play against him. He plays the Rubinstein. Again, we have the Rubinstein. Plays knight to f6. I believe bishop g5 is the usual response here. And I give up the bishop here, but black is having some problems to develop now. You can see now queen d3, he cannot castle because of bishop takes h7. And if he plays g6, there's always a move which is slightly weakening his position. Maybe I can follow up with something like h4, castle, queenside, and then see what happens. So let me check the chat. sounds good, looks good. Great. This is good news. He plays g6, and well, why not immediately try to put on some pressure on his position? And I don't even care if I have castle or not. I just go ahead, and of course there are ideas to sacrifice on g6 at some point. So maybe he might play something like king g7 now to just protect the pawn on g6. He doesn't. This is really inviting me to take on g6 twice. So let's go ahead and do this. I mean, this looks really promising, so I just have to do it. I mean, he pretty much has to take, and then, no, he does not take. But, well, now obviously he is simply down 2 pawns, and they're not just any pawns, they're 2 pawns around his king. So this will be really difficult for him to defend. I just castle. I am in no hurry whatsoever at this point. He plays the queen here. Okay, my bishop is kind of a little bit in the way. You know what? I have all the time. King b1. So what? I want to bring my queen, but after bishop g7, there's no obvious continuation. I mean, of course, I'm completely winning at this point with his open king, but I still have to finish him off somehow. Alright, plays rook to g7. I bring my rook to h6, attack the bishop on f6, and I hope to get my knight into play soon. For example, if he moves the bishop as he does right now, I want to bring my knight somehow. I can probably also just play rook back to h5. I could take on g5. Rook h5 looks good, pinning the bishop. And now knight e5, something like that, coming up. Queen d8. Alright, so now knight e5 should be a good move. And I further want to attack him, of course. Queen a3 is actually also a move I can consider at some point. That might be helpful. Queen f6. Alright, let's open some more lines here for my pieces with f4. If he takes, I can bring the next piece into play with rook f1. He takes, and now rook f1. I just have to make sure there are no back rank issues, and then I should be completely winning. He takes on g2. Well, I just do I want to give a check? Okay, let's just give a check. And he has to take. Oh, I could even take with the queen. Why not take with the queen, actually? Oh, I'll take with the bishop. I attack with the bishop. Alright, he has resigned. Alright, I just want to show you a pretty nice little tactic. My idea behind bishop takes g6 was that after h takes, queen takes, bishop g7, I play knight g5, and the point is there is no defense against rook h8 check, king takes, and queen h7 mat. So this was the idea. So I believe he needed to play king g7 here, but still this is not nice to play. I will castle queenside. I can maybe follow up with g4 along these lines. There are always ideas to sacrifice, and it's really difficult to play for black. Alright, let's go to the next game. And here we have DefeatBringer, and I saw his post. There was a post on Chess24 advertising, oh, did I accept it? Advertising my subscribers special, and he said he really wanted to play against me, so, well, here you go. And this will be a slightly longer game, 4 minutes and 2 seconds increment. So this gives me a little bit more time to talk about the position, and I'm not in such a rush as I was in the previous games, and I can say a few more words and think a little bit longer about my moves. He plays the mainland in this position, which goes c5. Black is immediately attacking the white center. Bishop e3 is the move. Knight d7 is not the main move, as far as I know. C takes d4 is the main move, and I need to have a little think. I believe c4. I always forget how exactly it works, honestly. Or just castle. No, I believe c4 is the move here, which is appropriate. But these positions, there are a lot of different transitions, a lot of move orders, and honestly, I sometimes don't remember exactly how everything goes. Maybe he can develop with check now. Maybe this was not something I should have allowed, but well, bishop b4, knight c3, he takes on b1. Alright, so maybe I messed up. Maybe maybe it wasn't the right move. But if he takes on e5, I mean, he is down in his development, and maybe I can exploit that. So he probably is just going to play knight e7. He takes on e5. Alright, this is going to be interesting, to say the least. I take on d5. And probably he takes back with the queen. And after bishop b5, he can play knight back to d7. So let's see if I have a better move up my sleeve. I could just castle, which is not too exciting, but he threatens to take on g2, so I will just castle. But I'm not sure if I'm having enough compensation here. Most likely I do not, but we'll see. Now I can play f4. How about he plays knight back to c6? And then bishop f3, queen takes d4 is a check. And this is unfortunate. I can stop him from castling. This looks good. Queen b4. At least he's not leaving the center yet. And if he plays a5, I might cause him some more trouble with bishop b5 check. Still, this is probably the move he should play. He castled queenside. I didn't expect that, but I should have some chances here as well. Let's see what I can do. This looks pretty dangerous for him. I will give, first of all, a check. Which rook to take? This rook to take. Check. And then I can follow up with f4, I believe. Oh wait, this knight on d4 is hanging. I should not forget about that. Still, f4 is honestly an option, because I could enter on the seventh rank, but I feel like there should be something better. Rook fd1 just looks like a natural good move, and f4 is still a move in the position, and the idea is like knight c6. He plays rook c8. This allows me to win his queen with knight c6. Now he can take back with the knight. That was close though. He takes back with the knight. Alright, so let me try rook takes c8. Check. And then I could move my knight somewhere. How about knight b5? This looks like a good move. And I do have really good compensation here. His king is kind of unsafe, my pieces are active. There are different ideas here. Probably has to go on queen. He plays knight c6. Queen f4, queen e5. That looks like it's a strong move. I didn't see this coming. This is indeed a good move. Okay, I play queen to a4, but right now I'm not threatening anything here, so you can probably just move the queen somewhere, let's say to e5. Bishop f3, a6. I should at some point make myself some space here around my king so there are no back rank issues. Queen e5, knight d6, queen e4. He still wants to exchange queens. This is a good move again, because I don't have any reasonable way to avoid the queen exchange, or do I? No, it doesn't look like I do. So, alright, I gotta take. And bring my rook. Knight e5. Knight e5. Oh, ooh. This is an unpleasant move, protecting pawn on f7, as well as... but a6 is also unpleasant. I'm definitely not in a good position here. I have to be really careful to not lose. I'm down on the clock, down on material, and let's see, maybe I can defend, but it will be difficult. Knight c4, knight g6. He's bringing down his rook, that's a problem. I do have to create some play here somehow, but I don't see a good way to... Alright, let's play f5. Stay aggressive, but I just plays rook c7. I'm down 2 pawns at this point. This is lost. Okay, he plays this move. Now he plays rook c2 most likely. I can take on f7, but he plays knight f4, so I have to play g3. He takes on b2, and my position is pretty much hopeless. But I will fight on till the end. And we'll see if I can somehow pull a miracle here. Okay, he just runs forward with his pawns, but it's not it's not completely over yet. For example, b4. I thought I have this move now, rook h6. The idea, if he moves the knight, then rook b6, rook takes b4. But unfortunately, you can play knight e5, and then in the end there's a fork. So it's not quite working. So I have to attack this guy again. But now, for example, he could play the knight to c4. Or he could play b3 most likely. Oh, b3 is a good move at this point. Oh no, b3 I can take again. So he plays this move, and I really have to stop him from moving his pawns. So I play king e3. Okay, now I have to push my pawns myself. What else can I do? Okay, let's push. It's not over yet, but I think I'm pretty close. b2, bishop d3, knight c5. This looks like the killer. Bishop, oh, he can't even take here. I completely missed that, and now I can pretty much resign. Yes. Alright, well done. Well done, DefeatBringer. I think I had really decent compensation. Let's go back to critical mode. At this point, I'm really confident that I must have a decent position. I could also consider playing knight b5 here immediately. Maybe he would go knight c6. Knight c6. Yeah, it's not so easy to somehow get through. So maybe I should consider at this point playing f4. with the idea, well, the knight cannot move because the knight c6 is coming, so he has to take. And now, let's say he moves the knight. d7, rook takes f7. Yes, this would have certainly been an option here. Even though, well, it's not that clear, but I believe I shouldn't be worse. Okay, and then in the game, still, I mean, it's unbelievable. He just plays rook c8. He allows me to play any knight move and attack his queen, but knight c6 doesn't work. Well, even rook takes c6 is possible. No, this should be okay for me, but just knight takes c6 attacking my queen as well, and queen f4 check would be answered with either e5 or queen e5. But still, I mean, there must be something here. Okay, I took on c8, Yeah, there's nothing really obvious to me. And then we reach this endgame. I still had some chances, but objectively it probably was lost all along. Alright, let's go to the next game. Let me just check the chat again. Okay, I think everything is still going fine. And I will accept challenge by Kabeljaukrieger. Okay, this sounds like a German name. And I would have a hard time to translate it actually. I know Krieger is fighter, so we'll see how he's going to fight against me. Okay, let's wait for his first move. And there we go. He plays c5, and we play a Sicilian. And we go for Sveshnikov. h6. I mean, this is kind of asking me to play knight d6, but, or knight d5. Knight d5 is probably better. I'm sure he has prepared something here, because I have no clue about this position whatsoever. Maybe it wasn't the smartest way to play it, because now doesn't look like I have anything. But okay, let's go back. He can go to d4, which he does. Bishop e3. He plays pretty fast. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't look like the opening was much of a success for me. But okay. Nothing much has happened except for I'm down on the clock a lot. This is the only bad thing which has happened. So I have to play a little bit faster. But I can do it, playing knight e2 to take away the square. This knight is slightly displaced on f5. He would like to play f5 and so on, e4. But where to put his knight? And he places to h4, which is probably a smart move. And now, I mean, he is fast with his pawns. And I cannot really do anything against it. So I play c4. Plays bishop g5 to exchange my bishop. But I'll just go to c3. I don't want to exchange the bishops right now. We can do that maybe another time. If he plays f5, I might play f4 actually. Yeah, why not? Because if he goes e4 now, then I get this really nice square on d4 for my pieces. So he plays bishop f3. Okay, I just play bishop to c2, just going out of the way of e4. I should probably play my king to h1 at some point, so no annoying queen b6 checks come along. And I could also consider to attack this knight. Knight would have to retreat to g6. It's certainly a dynamic position. A lot is going on. He plays knight g6, which is not putting up a threat really. Maybe he wants to take on f4. Well, I can take on e4 actually, e5. And now I can place the knight to d4 again. I hope he's not mating me at this point. No, queen h4, knight f3, I'm safe. He plays queen g5, which is giving him the option to give a check on e3 as well. Alright. Okay, let me just move my king. I just want to place my king at h1. Knight h4, rook f2, I'm still safe, but I'm getting a little bit worried with his queen and all his pieces lining up against my king. But I have my ideas. Knight f3 is a threat right now, which is why he plays knight h4 probably. And now f4, which is opening up this diagonal for my queen. This is good news. But he's still able to defend. He can, for example, play knight f5, but this is something which will be annoying for him in the long term. He always needs to watch out that he's not losing on the long diagonal. And now, it is difficult. I don't want to take, but knight e6, now I allow him to place a knight on e3 and it gets interesting here, but I have not a lot of time. This is my main problem at this point. Oh, knight g3, is that, ooh, this, I missed that completely, and I just don't have a lot of time. Alright, it's not over until it's over, but he plays fast. He knows that I have not a lot of time, so he knows he has to play fast. And he exchanges queens. Alright, he can do that. Check. Give another check. Give another check. And give another check. Give another check. And of course he plays on. Check, tack, check. But I have not enough time and I'm losing here. Oh, I blundered my rook. Okay. A bummer. I was not fast enough, was too busy talking. Was a really interesting game. Let's go back to a critical point. I believe at this point I should be doing fine. Maybe I have to play something more forceful than what I did here. Knight f3 seems to be definitely a move which comes to mind. And actually, no, rook e1 is good, but here knight f3 of course. And now I'm just winning the pawn on e5 and he can pretty much resign because he is facing this super strong bishop on c3 and this is just absolutely terrible for him. Yeah, I was not fast enough, that was my problem in this game. Let's go to the next one. Alright. I'll just pick from the top. FearTheBeard, a good name. I guess this guy has a beard. He's from Italy and you might not believe what you're seeing, but I play first d4 and I've almost never done it in my life, but well, now we reach the French again. He plays bishop b4. I'm absolutely out of theory here. I'll just push my pawn and he takes on c3, but this opening has been going pretty well for me, I believe. Queen g4 is actually looks like a pretty unpleasant move. He can't castle because of bishop h6. And how is he going to defend the pawn? King f8, rook g8. Not moves he likes to play, but he pretty much didn't have another option. g6, and this is losing his queen. Can you believe it? Bishop g5 is trapping the queen. Alright, that was a fast game. I expect him to resign at this point. And let me drink something. He writes that he hopes he won't end up on YouTube. I have bad news for him. He will end up on YouTube because I'm not only live streaming this, but I'm also going to upload it on YouTube. So sorry, FearTheBeard. Shit happens. Alright, and he has resigned. And I'm sorry, I cannot accept the rematch. There are too many other people waiting and want to play a game. So I will just go to next game by Bauernopfer, which is German and means pawn sacrifice. So let's see if he's going to sacrifice a pawn against me. And surprisingly, he put France as his flag into his profile, but Bauernopfer is certainly a German word. Alright. So we'll just keep waiting a few seconds, and I believe there's a slight relay between the live stream and what I'm doing here while I'm talking. So probably when you're watching and you have challenged me, you don't see immediately that I have accepted your challenge, and that's why probably a few times I just have to wait a few seconds until the people watching my live stream realize that I have accepted challenge. Okay, and this is quite a topical line here in the Knight of Sicilian. Oftentimes there are problems with white sacrificing on e6, which is why I play queen a5 to go out of this sacrifice. But there was also another idea, quite simple. I want to attack the bishop on g5, and he has missed that, so I could just collect this bishop. Now you could still sacrifice on e6, but being 2 pieces down is just not enough compensation. And he does not sacrifice, plays the queen back, he plays the knight back, but now I'm simply up a piece for nothing, and the game is over already pretty much. Now I think I can win another piece here because the knight on c3 is unprotected, and I will collect this one. Alright, so up 2 pieces. That didn't go too bad for me. Alright, so I just have to make sure I'm not blundering anything, just develop all my pieces, and then at some point my material advantage will make itself apparent. There's really not much interesting I can say about this game now anymore, because obviously with 2 pieces up I'm completely winning. I just have to drive home the point, if you say it this way. So I can place a knight on c3 and place queen d4. I attack his queen one more time. And now I can win another piece. The bishop on c4 is suddenly trapped. He takes on e4, which leads to another fork, and I will be up 2 pieces and a rook. That's a lot. Alright, so let's see if I can finish him off in the king's attack. No, he has resigned. Alright. Yeah, there's not too much to say about this game. It was over pretty much early after queen a5. White should play something like bishop back to e3, queen d2, f4, any move which protects the bishop pretty much, and not leave this bishop hanging. Alright, let's see who we have here. I have a lot of challenges. let's accept let's accept Raffaelo, just because I like the candy. That's the main reason I accept this challenge. And you know what, I'll go for the King's Gambit. Let's bring some excitement here on the board. He doesn't even accept it, I'm disappointed. But we can play this position as well. There's still some action here, it's not that easy. He plays bishop d6, it's not winning the pawn on d5, and now we reach this endgame. Not exactly what I hoped for with by playing the King's Gambit, but I do have an edge at this point. I believe a slight edge, because this pawn on f4 can quite often be weak. And there it is, play with knight e5. He can always play g5, so I have to do some calculating here. But knight e5 seems like a decent move. And g5 I can play g3. Alright, he just gives me the pawn. Well, I guess he also wins the pawn back. Or is he? Bishop takes e5, take. Looks interesting, let's try it out. And if he takes on c4, I simply take back with the knight. He just develops his pieces. But now I do have everything under control, and for now I have secured an extra pawn. And it won't be easy for him to regain that pawn. And I believe I can put some more pressure on his position with bishop g5. Attacking a bishop on f5 and also aiming to take on f6. And then I will be already up 2 pawns. And I don't think there's anything he can do about it. Yeah, he plays bishop g6, and now my idea was just to take on f6. And this looks pretty good for me. Rook e8. He wants to win back a pawn, that's for sure. Do you want to take on g6? Not g4, is that a good move? Looks a bit weird after h5, what am I going to do? Let's just take. Probably takes back f takes g6. No, h takes, okay. That means I can put some pressure on this pawn. He doesn't have a hard time to defend it, but still. It's possible. And now, knight b5. And I want to get these pawns rolling. a6, he helps me. c4. And c5 is coming. And he is just in defensive mode, just waiting for me to do something. And here I can play bishop a4 probably. Looks like a decent move. Because he can't go to c7 because of c takes c6. He has to go back to f8. To d8, excuse me. But actually, how am I going to proceed here? This pawn is hanging again on d5, so let's just go back. I have time, well, not too much time on the clock, but I have time in the position. Since he is pretty much helpless, he just have to defend passively, and I can try to improve my position slowly. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I still have to come up with a decent plan. Plays rook e4. Well, now again I can play bishop a4, and now again if he goes to e7 or c7, I take on d6, so he has to go back to d8, but then I can open up his king if rook takes f7. He plays b5. Alright, I take en passant, he plays this move, and now again I pretty much force him to give up the defense on f7, and then I'm hoping I might have a dangerous attack against his king, and yes, it's already made. It's good that I played this move h4 before, so I'm taking away the square on g5 if he goes to h6. I will mate him with rook h8. Yeah, I would say the mistake in the game was early. I don't think he should take back with the bishop on e7, probably rather with the king, and then let's say I played d4 and then something like rook e8. He just lost the tempo in the game, playing the bishop back to e7 and back to d6, and this is more decent, and still white is slightly better, but it's not as much as of an advantage as in the game. I will do a short break, just because if I keep streaming like that, my file will be way too huge. So I'll be back in just a few minutes and accepting some more challenges. So be right back. Glad to see you then again.